Hey guys, hope you're all having a great day and welcome back to another video. This video is the first episode in my Positions You Must Know series, and to start off this series I've decided to choose a very interesting position, and at first sight you can probably see why it looks very interesting, because in this position it does look like black's completely winning, doesn't it? Their pawns are literally one square away from queening, and it doesn't look like there's any way that the white rook will be able to stop both of the pawns. Now, because of the positioning of black's king, because of the awkward squares on being on 8-7, this position is in fact a draw. So, I'll show you how. So, as I said before, because of the awkward square that the black king is on, there is actually almost a technique here that we can use that allows this position to be a draw. And what this is that, as you can see, the king is on the edge of the board, right? And if you've watched any of my previous videos where we have a king, a rook, and a king on the edge of the board, you can sort of be able to come up with the ideas that will make this position a draw. If you think about it logically, well, if the king's on the edge of the board, we have our king close to the other king, and we have a rook. Well, we know that we might be able to do something that threatens mate here. And that is in fact the whole technique behind drawing this position. So how we go about doing this is, first we check the king, and now the king can only come to this square. So it goes to there. We give it another check. And now if it comes here, remember in my how to checkmate with the king and lone rook, I showed you that when the kings are opposite each other, we want to be able to move our rook up to check the king, because we want that to be checkmate. So what we do when we reach this position is we move our rook along. Note how black can't push his pawns here and get a queen, because we'll just checkmate him. So black's pawns are frozen, which means he either has to come back or go forward. If he goes forward, we just repeat the threat of mate. If he goes forward again, we do the same. Note how if this king ever comes to f8, now black is actually completely losing, and I'll show you how. So I'll give you guys a little bit of time to sort of think about what you could do here. That is the reason why black is completely losing. So if your answer was to play rook f2, then congratulations, you've just won this position that was meant to be a draw. Now, the reason that this is completely losing for black now is because if he comes to g8, we can then take this pawn with check, and king is forced here, or to f8, and we take the other pawn. And then, if you have watched my previous videos, you should know how to win this position. And the reason that black's king can't go to e8 is because we can now just take the pawn on g2. And white can't push his pawn because we will checkmate him. And that is the whole reason why black is lost in this position. Black can't use this square on f8, so he has to come back to d8. And then we just put our king on d6. And if he goes back to e8, we put our king on e6. And he can't use this file. So no matter what he does, if he comes here, we just repeat the process of checks. And as long as you are only ever checking on the A or B file, or remember if they ever come to the F file where you can check them on F2, those are the only safe checking squares to draw this position. Well, if it's on F2, it's not drawn, it's 1, but yeah. So to keep it a drawn position, you only ever check on A2 or B2. And yeah, this is right. This is why this position is a draw. Because no matter what black does, he cannot escape the threat of checkmate. So you're probably thinking, well, why is this position something important to remember? And this position is important to remember because in rook endgames, you can still draw sometimes, in very rare cases, even when you're 2 pawns down. And that is the same case for if it's ever a rook and king versus a rook king and 2 pawns. There are some cases where you can actually draw. It's insane, but it's possible. And this position is important to remember, just to show you the reason why this position is a draw, and the sort of ideas that come with it. Because learning this position means you learn a particular drawing technique, albeit in a very rare situation, but it will always come in handy if something like this ever comes up. So yeah, that's basically it for today's video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and make sure you have post notifications turned on so that you never miss another episode of the Positions You Must Know series. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.